Hi, my name's Brian Doerksen, and I'd love to take some time just to tell you the heart and the story behind my new song, Holy God. And what happened, really, this song has really surprised me because I just taken a few days just to pray and just reflect and just prepare for a new year. And as I was doing that, really feeling like my life was sort of going on a good path, it was going in a certain direction. Several hours into this time of withdrawing, I just came to this deep sense that I needed the holiness of God. I needed to meditate on it. I needed it. The church needed it. And I walked over to the piano, and it's like my fingers, they fell onto a B flat chord, and this melody, just really simple melody, just started. Holy, holy, holy God. And I just kept singing it over and over again, and pretty soon I sensed the tangible presence of God in the room, and tears were running down my face, and I just kept on singing it for hours. And in fact, that was enough for me for a couple of days. That's all I sang. But as I would go to sleep, I started asking this question: if God's holy, what's he like? What are his actions? And as soon as that question popped into my mind, what are the actions of the Holy God? I started sort of like furiously writing down every action I could think of biblically that the Holy God did. And some of them were very clear and decisive in Scripture. Creating, he commands, he defends love, he destroys sin. He's a warrior. And so verse 1 came, this clear image of the mighty God. And all of a sudden I started realizing, wait a minute, God, the Holy One, he doesn't just stop there in his might. Verse 2 is all about the incarnation. He steps into creation. This is where it starts getting surprising, that the Holy One, who should keep his distance from us because we're so sinful and we've made such a mess of planet Earth, he steps in, he forgives, he redeems. And just wanted to paint a picture that salvation's champion is someone that stepped in to be with us, the nail-scarred lamb. And then verse 3, all of a sudden I started thinking, okay, to what end? He creates, he redeems, but to what end? Well, it's for relationship. And this is where it got really surprising. We worship and serve a God who's holy, but he's a God who, we look at the prophet who was called to go and marry basically a prostitute. And it was to be a living picture of this holy God who was out to pursue, to redeem, to romance. But when I say romance, I don't mean small r, sentimental, Valentine's card, would you be my sweetheart? The language that's used in the scriptures is covenantal, and that's why the covenant of marriage is so upheld biblically, is because it's a holy covenant. And so really that was then my risk, to take the same risk in writing the song as I believe God takes in life with us, and that he's holy but he romances. And so I ended the song with the phrase, the lion's mighty roar, just simply because I wanted to be people to be very clear that the one romancing us isn't someone tame that we can control. The C.S. Lewis story, of course, the allegory of Aslan, but also his quote where he says, God's not safe, but he's good. In other words, you can't control him, you can't tame him. But he's the one, the Holy One, who's romancing us. Now, unpacking and arranging a song that in some ways is incredibly simple. It's a few words, it's a few chords repeated. I had the chance to just go to my good friend Philip, arranger, producer, and say, okay, here's the song. And see, Philip had already experienced it in live worship, and he had seen what it would do to people. But now we got to dream. And so Philip's here. Philip, why don't you come on here? Actually, this is Philip's studio. This is High Time Studios in Mission, British Columbia. And really, the Holy God arrangement's kind of like this fusing of ancient,
Yeah.
modern, otherworldly, and yet very contemporary. Tell us some of the process you went through in creating the arrangement.
In this context, we have this. Well, actually, it was Brian's idea initially. He just said, it would be great to just hear a choir just kind of fading in on this song, and so that's basically what he had to say. And then I thought, that's a good idea. So what we did actually is we commissioned a fellow named Larry Nickel to basically write a part. So we've got this choir too that's also classically trained. We didn't take a choir that was like more the current kind of worship choir sound or even the gospel approach. It was intended to sound very otherworldly. Within that context, then, I've also invited again Boris to be a part of the process, and we have for instance, I think it's the second verse where Brian talks about every tribe, every tongue. So what I have Boris doing is I have him playing this didgeridoo, and if you listen to the left channel at that particular point where he says every tribe, exactly, we have all kinds of things.
James Isaac's playing an English horn.
That's right.
Which is kind of like he plays oboe often for me, which I love, but the English horn is just like a larger...
It's a very large instrument, actually, and it's in the family of the woodwinds family, obviously.
Very warm.
Very warm. We have him playing whistles at the beginning and then he disappears.
Whistles,
penny whistles. And then, of course, within that context, I have about at least 20 tracks of guitars.
And there's something about the journey that you took us on as an arranger with that song where it goes from this very small, intimate, yet very reverent moments to very almost like when the round is happening in the repeat of verse 3 and they start doing that holy echo. The first time I ever heard one of the first times I heard the mix, I was driving down the road just reviewing the mix, and I got to that point and I almost had to pull off the side of the road just because I felt so overcome by almost like a terror. It's almost like the fear of the Lord came over me as I heard this choir sing this holy, and I was just, it was a gift.
So